Time, folks, for another computer build. And it's going to be in this dilapidated old case, which came from my old my old main computer. I still have one of the home theater machine. And it's going to go there and do server duty. What are we going to do with it? Well, that will unfold throughout the course of this video. But I got to get this in place. I got to get this going with parts first and foremost. So let me go grab the motherboard. So here's the motherboard in all of its glory. B550M-DS3H from Gigabyte. Very nice motherboard. It does not have dual PS2, but I don't care because I don't need a mouse on this, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. It doesn't have any RAM on it, but I have this stuff right here, which I believe is 32 gigabytes. I mean, that's useless because this isn't that. It's not RGB, but I think this is 32 gigs of RAM. Even if it's 16, that's good enough for this project. I also have this power supply, which is what I'm going to throw in here. Overkill for this, but I don't have a modular supply and I don't have anything that's closer to what this would actually need. So I'm going to go ahead and put the I/O plate in and put the motherboard into this case, and then we'll explore further. Alright, so here's the motherboard installed in the case. Now I gotta get the front panel stuff hooked up, and that's always a pain in this case because the gap is right there. But really, if they were thinking about it, they should have moved this whole thing over, like, just maybe half an inch. Moved all this over half an inch. And it would have been a much better setup. I don't know why they did it the way that they did it, but it's very annoying. So here we are, all basically ready to go for a power supply, almost. I do need to install a video card. It's just going to be whatever video card I happen to have sitting around. I don't think it can be this one, which was in the box with it. Because as I remember it, the Proxmox VE software that I'm going to install, which I've just let the cat out of the bag as far as what this is going to be, does not like these cards, and I don't know why. So I'll have to find something else. It's just going to be some whatever piece of crap. But the only thing it really needs is it needs to have analog video output. Because I'd rather not have to use an adapter, because the adapters can be a pain. But I've installed a pair of 1 terabyte NVMe SSDs. I could be setting myself up for a world of hurt, because these were pulled out of service, because the systems that they were in, while they worked, every once in a while, at complete random, the drive would just disappear from the roster of hardware. The machine would, of course, restart because the boot disk disappeared and it would no longer start up. You'd have to physically power cycle it, turn it off, and then turn it back on before the drive would show up again. And I don't really know why this is. I never did figure that out. The easiest solution was to just replace the disks. And since that was done, I don't think there's been a problem, but I don't know. Camera's complaining that it wants me to change the battery. Well, guess what I'm not going to do? You're going to survive this entire video. That's what you're going to do. Alright. I got to install the power supply. At which point I'm going to have to put that in, and then I can put the cover on, and then we can test it and see what happens. Alright, here we are. Inside with everything installed. Beautiful cable management. That works great. And our video card that I hope is going to work. I don't know yet. I guess I am going to find out. Let's go ahead and juice this sucker up. Okay. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a PC speaker, so I will have no idea if this thing is actually going to work or not. But you only live once. See how much power it's using? Here we go. On it comes. Saw a peak of 52, 54, 53, 50. Here it comes. It is now trying to boot because it ignored my PS2 keyboard. Okay, so here's what we have going on right now with this thing. This should be set up pretty much all ready to go because this was a server. This is actually out of that one hypervisor that got the 5900XT originally. So like I said, this should be set up pretty much already. I shouldn't have to do anything to it. So I am going to have to, at this point, install the operating system. I'm going to try a different PS2 keyboard as well, just to make sure that the PS2 is going to work. Because now I've got some concerns about that. Because this did have, when it was up there, it did have a USB to PS2 adapter. I thought that it was just because I wanted the keyboard and the mouse. But maybe the port doesn't work, I don't know. However, while I'm at it, we're going to update the BIOS at the same time. Because we might as well while we're here. Hopefully the power doesn't decide to go out now. It's never happened, but, you know, there's a first time for everything. Okay, so we're now at the point right here, right now, where this thing's running, it's working. I actually went ahead and updated the BIOS on it as well, so it's running the most up-to-date BIOS. That was a little bit of a fiasco, and I had to change the video card in order to get it to actually work, which I think is a little weird, but whatever. So I have my USB, I've got the network plugged in, and let's get that out of the way so that way I know I can see what I'm doing. In fact, it's not even this keyboard, it's this one. I still haven't figured out whether or not the PS2 port works, but there's a gigabyte motherboard, so F12 will get me a boot menu. Please give me a boot menu. Alright, so I want UEFI OS, SanDisk Cruiser Edge. Let's see if it'll actually do it. Looks like the answer is no, it will not do it. Well, let's try again. UEFI OS, SanDisk Cruiser. Okay, well that was odd. I don't need the graphical interface, we'll just use the terminal. Alright, I assure you I read that EULA very carefully. Target hard disk. That's the one that I would like. First one. Alright, we'll set our time zone. And I'll put that in. Okay, our details are in. Let's go ahead and hit install. Just realized I forgot to plug in the power LED, doggone it. But it looks like it is working. So we'll let that go ahead and install. And then I can put it in the rack. Okay, it's rebooting. I'm going to pull that. I guess before it goes ahead and before I go ahead and put the cover on and put it where it's going to go, I would like to see and at least get started with some erasing of disks and factoring and whatever. Alright, so here we are. There's the machine. Should be okay. I'm going to come in here to my repositories. And I'm going to add the no subscription repository. And I'll do the same thing for the Ceph, even though I'm not going to use it. Turn that off. And where's the other enterprise? Turn that off. Alright. So I'm going to refresh. Because now it should actually work. Make sure that we have all the updates. It's going to do a kernel update on top of that. While that's going on, we're going to come into our disks here. And I'm going to wipe this second disk. And I'm going to just create a standard directory. Ext4. I might add more disks later, but for right now I'm not going to. So we'll let that go. We can come over to the other room here. Let's see, power usage. Sitting between 40 and 70 watts, which is not bad for a full-size computer. So it would be better with a mini ITX motherboard, but I don't have a mini ITX motherboard that supports NVMe. I don't even have a spare mini ITX motherboard, so we're just not going to do that and say that we did. Alright, there it is. Set the KVM, and we'll check power usage on that thing here in a minute. Right now it's about 750, hovering around. It's going all over the place. Let's see, where's the switch? Plug in the light. 764, 31, 36, 38, 44, 37. Now that you can see it. 61, 71, 70. I haven't seen it get to 800 yet, but we'll call it 800. Again, just for safe side and all that other stuff. So that's pretty much it. I don't have a whole lot else to share. So the plan is for it to take some of the VMs off of this. Just to take some of the load off of that one. Probably doesn't need to do a whole lot, but it's there and I have it, and it's honestly necessary considering the cost of RAM right now. So that is going to conclude this video. I would like to thank you for watching, and if you had any comments, feel free to leave them below.